Thank you for the tremendous response for my first chapter. I will do my very best to meet your expectations. And here is chapter 2. And in this chapter, we are going to discuss a little bit about what led up to the fall of Shalini from the 14th floor. Now, some of you have already started playing the guessing game as to who in the real life is resembling or is picturized in this book. Well, guess away, will not take any chances. Like I said, this is a book of fiction. Any resemblances to someone living or dead is purely coincidental. Now, what exactly does one do when somebody suddenly falls from the 14th floor? Well, first of all, we have to understand what happened. Why did Shalini get pushed from the 14th floor? So that's what is going to be described in chapter 2. And here we go. In the chaos and confusion, only Arvind and one other person knew what had actually happened moments ago. Arvind was starting to get high on drugs and talking to Shalini and noticed his childhood friend and son of the state's PWD minister, Sushil Patil, gesturing him, almost goading him to ask Shalini with his eyes. Arvind nodded and said, "So, Shalini, what is your hero up to these days?" "He is reading some scripts, working out, the usual stuff. Why do you ask?" "I heard that he was a university topper in engineering. If yes, what is he doing in Bollywood?" Shalini was in no mood to entertain the man's silly questions. It was clear that he was fishing, seeking some opening for what he had actually come to say. She retorted, "Why? Is there any restriction that smart engineers should not act?" "Not really. I'm just curious." Sushil, who was watching the exchange, there was no way he could have overheard, slowly inched his way amidst the crowd and joined them. He was quick to notice the tension and smiled affably. Shalini viewed him warily. Sushil cleverly decided not to open with films. Instead, he asked, "I heard that Sandeep has invented a new compound that would revolutionize the construction of roads. Do you know anything about that?" Shalini, who too was slowly getting high on drinks, nodded negatively. "Oh, that. I have no idea what it is. I'm busy trying to find him roles and ads." "Where is his lab? And who is working with him on that?" "I don't have a clue. He keeps these things to himself." It became obvious to the two men that either she indeed had no clue or was being evasive. Arvind persisted, this time in a louder voice. "Shalini, you know there is no purpose in being insulting to us." She said, though now more intoxicated, "I'm not insulting you. I said that I don't know, and that is a fact." "How's that possible? Sandeep confides everything in you," Arvind said. "Everything?" "I mean, all that is important in his life. His career, his hobbies, his scientific inclinations." Shalini was now swaying a little on her feet. She was having trouble keeping steady, but she was steady enough to keep warding off the persistent queries. In a somewhat slurred voice, she replied, "I only handle his film career and all that goes with it. I have no idea about his scientific ventures." Sushil shouted in an exasperated tone, "You are lying!" "Am I? So, what will you do?" Shalini shouted back. The furious exchanges went unnoticed by the others as everyone was busy dancing to the booming music from the speakers. Sushil said, "Look, it's not as if we are against you or Sandeep. It is just curiosity. Surely you can indulge us." "Why are you so curious?" "It is possible that we can help him." Sushil said nothing. Like Shalini and Arvind, he too was high on ecstasy, a drug usually in circulation during rave parties, discos, and loud music. By that time, they had moved closer to the anteroom opening into the balcony. It was clear that Shalini was not going to play ball. Arvind's patience had run out. He lost control of his senses and lunged at her. She stepped back. This only infuriated him more. He grabbed her roughly, pinned her to the bed, and said, "I will teach you a lesson, you bitch." While she screamed and flayed her arms weakly, he ripped off her clothes and raped her. It was Sushil's turn next. Shalini pushed back and managed to topple Sushil as she tried to flee. Even more angered, he grabbed her from behind and flung her aside. The force was such that she toppled over the balcony and fell to the ground, down 14 floors, dead. A pool of blood quickly formed around her as she landed on her back. End of chapter 2.